last time on Oz Hour?
Okay, last time on Oz Hour, Belina went fucking crazy, grabbed everyone except for the Tin Man, unfortunately. And then when she came out, the Gnome King was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I'm about to kill you with my whole big ass army." And so then they were like, "Uh-oh." But then Scarecrow was like, "Actually, throw eggs at you and we're going to steal your belt." And that's exactly what they did. And then they ran off and were chased out by the Gnome King and his scary army, but they got out okay because that belt is insane. And then when on their way out, or when they were going back to the kingdom after they saved everyone except for the Tin Woodman, this little fucking kid, Evering, had the whistle that was actually the Tin Woodman. And so then we actually did save him, and then we go back to the kingdom and everyone's like, haha, we love living and we love being living. And so then they what's her face, Dorothy, was like, I gotta go back home, actually. So they were trying to find a way to bring her back home. Glenda was like, you can't take our belt, actually, no. And so they found another way through a mirror, and then that's what happened, and now everyone's fine and they're home. Amen.
Hi there, and welcome to Oz Hour, the only place where you can hear everything you never knew about the wonderful and strange land of Oz.
That's right. With the help of some alcohol, we will be discussing each of the 14 books in L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz series.
Today, we will be starting Book 4, Dorothy and the Wizard in Oz, covering chapters 1 through 3.
We're your hosts, Blake Stone
And Wyatt Swangham.
and joining us as always is our resident Oz initiate, Hannah Aguirre.
Bueno.
Bueno,
Always
bringing
with the
it
bueno
back.
with this one.
Always with the bueno this one. I'll never understand you kids. Hannah just played last time on where she recapped the end of book 3, Ozma of Oz. Hannah, that was exceptional. That took you 1 minute and 13 seconds, which is a little long, but you didn't leave anything out.
Thank
wait.
you.
No, yeah, 1 minute and 13 seconds. Because you also did the entirety of the last book, Ozma of Oz, which our listeners can tune in for that treat after the end of this episode for.
And seriously, you guys need to clue in. It's 3 minutes. It's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
It was really difficult. Both times.
Yeah.
My brain hurts.
Yeah.
Well, before we started recording, Wyatt whipped us up some cocktails as usual. So tell us all about what we'll be enjoying tonight, Wyatt.
Tonight, we will be drinking the San Francisco Treat, the recipe for which you can find on our Instagram at Oz Hour Podcast. It is really just a play on the classic cocktail called an earthquake, which is part absinthe and part cognac. So it's pretty bitter, I will say. Over ice, though.
Yeah, I can already smell it. And I'm scared.
It smells like something your papa would drink, you know.
Yeah,
All right, here we go.
gasoline.
All right.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't.
It tastes like black licorice.
Tastes like licorice.
Oh, I hate licorice. I hate licorice.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's get into the 4th book.
Book 4, Dorothy and the Wizard in Oz. Published in 1908. Chapter 1, The Earthquake. Hence the title of our cocktail.
Oh man, right off the bat.
Yeah. Well, the title for the cocktail is San Francisco Treat, which we'll get to in a second.
Well, I kind of like this because instead of starting off with a cyclone,
You're
starting off with an
right.
Or
earthquake,
the
another.
ocean.
Oh yeah, or the
It's
ocean.
literally Dorothy. I mean,
Oh my
who knows what this
God.
earthquake is going to do, but if she goes to a fairyland, she will have gotten to a fairyland by air, land, and sea. She's
Okay.
an all-terrain vehicle.
Yeah, she has experienced it all. And how old is she now?
Well, we'll
I mean,
find out.
honestly,
We'll find out when we
yeah,
get into
everything
Okay.
moves very quickly. So let me set the scene for you.
Okay.
The train from Frisco was very late. It should have arrived at Hugson's siding at midnight, but it was already 5 o'clock, and the gray dawn was breaking in the east when the little train slowly rumbled up the open shed that served for the station house.
The train was going super slow because there'd been like some earthquakes. Basically, like it was supposed to be there at midnight, so it was running 5 hours late. And the train arrives, and a little girl gets out of her seat And she has a wicker suitcase, a bird cage that's covered in newspaper so you can't see what's in it.
Is this
And
Harry
then
Potter?
a little white parasol. I know, right? Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. But no, she disembarks the train and it goes away. Also, this is, if you remember the beginning of the last book, how there was just a girl on this ship in the ocean. He's doing the same thing. It's like, oh, like a little girl's
we
getting on
don't
the
know
train.
who it is.
Who could it be? Yeah, which
Maybe
I
you
guess.
put her name in the title.
Yeah,
Here's the
they'll
thing.
never guess.
This little girl, whoever she may be, she's all alone at the train stop at like 5 a.m. and it doesn't look like anyone else is around. Because like that opening sentence said, like, the train is 5 hours late.
Yeah,
it
5
was supposed
hours
to
late.
be there at midnight. It's 5 a.m. She's all alone at a train station.
Isn't that scary?
That's
And
terrifying.
also you're alone because your train from San Francisco went super slow because of all the earthquakes.
Yeah, it's like someone needs to be
You're
there.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. All of a sudden, I'm at this train station alone. There could possibly be another earthquake.
Yeah, seriously. And
Like-
there's not even phones yet, you know? Like it's
Yeah.
1908.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you
just
let
have
them
to get out of
know?
there.
Who's
You're-
picking you up?
You have to write a letter to your
there's-
family from the train station.
Seriously.
Like,
Oh, and how do you
Yeah.
even know where to go? Like, you don't
well,
live
she would,
there.
yeah.
And
well,
that's the thing.
You know, maps were probably way more widely available back then. Like, just posted around and people could
guess that's
read them. I
true,
guess
yeah.
It's the middle of the night, or I guess very early morning. And like she's looking around, she can tell like there's no houses near this train station, and
Yeah,
the train
it's-
station is totally vacant.
the middle of nowhere.
But finally, she like finds like this horse that's tied up next to a buggy, and the horse is like skinny and just like not doing anything in particular. I feel like I'm like just like setting the scene for like a role playing game or something. So you see a horse.
But that is what she sees. And he's like knobbly kneed. He's just kind of like weird looking and he's really big. But whatever. And then there's a buggy. So, you know, like a little carriage behind it. And she looks in and there's a little boy sleeping in there.
She pokes him with
Yeah,
her
with a
parasol.
parasol.
She's like, "Hey, you."
Oh, okay. You don't need to do it like that. That's a little rude.
Yeah, she gets him right in the liver.
Oh God, I hate when people do that. The little jab on the side.
Right? It's
That
like,
makes
that's
me
not funny.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
What makes you think I enjoy that?
No,
Don't
that's
touch
abuse.
me.
Bad touch.
Fortunately,
Bad touch
he's
parasol.
got a pretty good bad touch parasol. He's got a pretty good spirit about it though, because he just wakes up and he's like, "Hello, are you Dorothy Gale?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, our bitch is back." By the way,
Yeah, that's true. But honestly,
Oh my God, I'm so surprised.
it would be so scary if you just like poked a boy with a parasol and his eyes just open like a doll and he's like, "Hello, are you Dorothy Gale?" I'd
Yeah,
be like,
right.
"Oh my God."
But honestly,
no.
here's the real kicker. The little girl says, "No, actually, my name is Jalea Jam." No, I get it. I get it.
No,
I get it.
no.
Oh my God, I was about to say, like, she's in the real world. What is she about to do?
Okay,
What
this-
needs to be done?
What if instead of Dorothy going into a fairy world, a fairy person came into our world?
Where's that
That'd be
book?
sick.
It might be down the road. I honestly don't
almost
know.
happened a couple books ago, and then L. Frank Baum was like, "No, retreat."
Too complicated.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dorothy's like, "Yes, I'm Dorothy. Are you here to take me to Hugson's Ranch?"
And he is. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm here." So like basically they put her suitcase away. He asks if the bird cage has canaries in it, and she's like, "Oh no, it's just the easiest way to transport my kitten, Eureka." Yeah, and you know why?
Okay, now I know why you were asking me to post a picture of Eureka.
Forgot about
It all adds up.
Oh my God. But the boy reflects that Eureka's a kind of a funny name for a cat. And Dorothy's like, "Oh, well, I found it. And my Uncle Henry said when you find something, you say Eureka." So she named it that, which is just kind of cute.
That's kind of cute. So Dorothy tells him that there were earthquakes the whole way, and the boy's like, "Oh yeah, like I hardly noticed them. Like I'm in California,
Yeah,
so
he's like, so I'm used to earthquakes. And I'm like, okay, this earthquake delayed a train by 5 hours, and that's just normal.
Yeah.
Like, and you also slept through
he's
it,
like,
I guess.
sorry, us San Franciscans, we just
Yeah, that's scary no matter who you are.
But yeah, Dorothy's like, the conductor said they were some of the worst earthquakes he'd ever seen. He drives this line all the time, so
But nothing really comes of it. And then after a minute, Dorothy's like, "Oh, so how's Uncle Henry doing?" So now we find out Uncle Henry is somewhere in this picture, you know, like they're doing whatever. And the boy's like, "Oh, he's fine. Like he and Uncle Hugson are having a good visit." So they're just visiting more relatives, and he's apparently still sick.
Yeah.
So he's been
This is like-
busy.
yes,
Always
yes.
sick.
So him saying that like kind of makes Dorothy realize like, oh, we're cousins, because like if Hugson's your uncle and he's
My uncle's
my
brother.
uncle's brother-in-law, because he's M's brother.
yeah.
Oh no.
Uncle Hugson is married to Uncle Henry's wife's sister.
So he's married to Aunt M's sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So
he's
they're-
his brother-in-law.
They say they're second
Whoa.
cousins. I don't know if that's
Okay.
true.
I don't know how it works.
I don't think that's. I don't know.
But they're family.
Who's sleeping together?
Mr. Hugson and Uncle.
That would be hot.
Yeah, this boy, he works for Uncle Hudson on his ranch. He's paid $6 a month plus room and board, which $1 back then was like $32. So that was like $192 a month.
Actually, I have something even crazier
Oh my God.
because I looked up specifically the conversion to today's dollars in compensation, like $1 purchasing power versus like being paid $1, and that's actually the equivalent of $936 per month
Wow.
as payment.
Another tidbit I have here is that the US dollar's lost 97% of its value since then. So
No, that
that
sounds
sounds right.
right. Yeah, that's yeah, that does sound right.
Whoa.
So anyway, he's getting paid good, and she's like, "Oh, damn!" Like she doesn't even believe him. She's like, "That seems like a lot of money," and he's like, "Oh well, I'm just a really good worker." And then we just move on.
Yeah, and Dorothy's like,
Oh,
so.
because she finally asks his name.
Yeah, we've been calling him the boy this entire time.
Okay,
They're fucking
yeah.
a mile down the road.
Yeah.
I love a new name.
Well, get ready because it's an interesting one.
I mean, he says, he's like, it's not a very pretty name, but here's my name.
Zebediah. But his
I
friends,
like that name.
his friends call him Zeb,
Oh, I love
which
that.
I
honestly.
do
Cool.
too.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I already
It's-
liked Zeb.
It's unique. But yeah, Zeb's very. He's very kind.
So yeah, Zeb is lovely. Dorothy explains to him that she and Henry, hen to his friends, got to San Francisco from Australia a week ago, and Henry went straight to Hugson's ranch. But Dorothy stayed in San Francisco with some friends she'd met.
Which is insane. She's 12.
She is 12.
Well, okay, she is probably by
Maybe
now.
younger?
It's
I
a
don't
week.
know.
Okay, however old she was, we thought in the last book, plus 1 week. Because it's been 1 week.
1 week?
They just got...
It's been
okay,
a week since they got back from
since they got
Australia.
back from
How long were
Australia.
they in Australia?
So they could have been there for a
Oh.
couple of months. You're right. Although, I bet, given that their main thing is farming, they probably wouldn't be gone over the summer or like more than a year. Hurricane season and bad weather in the Pacific would be like in the summer months or the fall months. So I bet they can't be gone for more than 6 months.
That makes sense. And this is the last stop. Like, they're
Yeah.
going back to
They're
Kansas
gonna go to
after
Kansas,
this.
like, after
Still,
this.
if anything, yeah, she probably would be like 12
But she's
or
like
13.
she's probably like 12. I would say
Yeah.
that's
But,
reasonable.
Yeah, so Dorothy's going to be at Hugson's ranch for 1 day and visit with these relatives. And then tomorrow, she and Hen are going back to Kansas.
Okay, wait, who are these friends? Is this
So
even
it's
matter?
Aunt M's sister and her husband
Oh, okay.
and Zeb.
But
the
the
friends
friends
that
at
she
San
stayed
Yeah,
with.
that's
in-
what I meant. That she
Nobody knows.
Yeah,
What
no.
a fucking
'Cause
what some fucking drug dealers or something?
She
They
was-
just toss her to anyone
Guys,
and like, hey, have
She
fun.
was missing for an unknown amount of time. Uncle Henry thought she had drowned. Then they have
They
to
don't
sail.
care about
They
her.
had to take a boat back to the U.S. That's the bottom line. That must have been horrifying.
That's probably where she met the friends.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
On the like 2-week boat ride.
that
or
would make a
whatever.
lot more
Yeah.
sense. That would make
and
a
they
lot
hung
more
out
sense.
at the bottom of the boat, didn't they?
Yeah, they were like, "Hey, you guys are actually going to be tied up down here because if you want to be with Dorothy, you have to be in the hand tied to the wall game." Because she is, yeah. But then all of a sudden, yeah, it's like, "Oh yeah, you stay here in San Francisco, and I'm gonna go however far away."
But all of a sudden, the buggy is thrown left and right. And out the side of the buggy, Dorothy sees the ground just open up super wide and then close back shut.
Yeah, cartoon style. It's just like opens up in a crack and then it snaps shut in front of them.
Damn.
And Dorothy, who just experienced 5 hours of earthquakes, says, "What was that?" I know that she was inside a train and she didn't see the earth open up. That
But-
sounds insane. But what
I
was
mean,
that?
I've never seen the earth open up, and I've only been through like a couple, like maybe 1 or 2 earthquakes. I knew when they were in an earthquake because everything's fucking shaking.
Yeah, like she knew.
She said, "Whoa."
It's insane. She should still be traumatized.
that?
And Dorothy's gone through a lot. She has a really, really like big
Also, she is a
tolerance for that
child.
shit. That's true.
Yeah, she's a
well,
child.
but okay, she's
But-
a child.
Children are dumb.
But Zeb,
Not Dorothy.
Zeb
guess.
is like his face is white, and he's like, "That was
He
the
got
biggest
scared.
earthquake I've ever
He
experienced."
said that almost got to
Yeah, he
us."
was like, "We're lucky. We're so lucky." And then they're just quiet for a while.
the horse is terrified, like
Yeah.
frozen in place.
Oh, no.
Jim. Also, the horse's name is Jim.
Jim.
Jim will
He's gonna
not
start talking,
move.
huh?
Oh yeah.
If he ends up in a fairyland, probably.
But Zeb like gets the horse to go. He's like whipping him to go, and like the horse.
but he's not whipping him. He's whipping the air and cracking it. So he's not actually whipping Jim.
Okay.
Oh,
I
that's a
just
good
wanted
difference to make.
I
yeah.
when it said he was whipping him, I was like, different time, I guess. Also, you can whip lightly, just but like
what- I thought he had
but
like
he
a-
cracked it in the air.
I thought he had like
Okay.
a prod kind of one. It was just like.
Oh no, yeah, he cracked it in the air, and then Jim finally started walking, and they're scared.
Yeah, they're terrified. They're sitting in silence.
And every few minutes, the earth shakes, but like not.
Oh,
it
so
doesn't
it's just
open up under
ongoing.
him. It's like aftershocks, basically.
No.
Yeah.
And suddenly,
The sky grew darker.
So
Oh,
apocalypse.
and the
the world.
yeah, the earth is shaking. It just opened under you. The clouds are dark, and then also the wind is making a queer sobbing sound as it sweeps through the valley.
That's aliens.
Yeah,
Aliens.
it would have to. That would have to be it. But that's happening. They're not feeling very happy about it. And
oh, but never fear.
then yeah,
The ground opens up again. And this time it's right under the horse.
Okay, wait. Can I just make a theory real quick before you say anything?
yes.
When the ground opens up, do they fall through and then now they're in Oz?
Well, you'll find out momentarily.
Okay.
The ground opens up right under the horse. He falls in. He obviously pulls the cart
Yeah.
in behind him. And they start to fall. The kids are hanging on for dear life as they
God, so they
literally
do
fall through
fall
the
in.
earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the blackness just swallows them up. And then all of a sudden, they're just in open air. Like it's completely pitch black below them, but they are just
They're in the fourth
falling.
dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you
and they
know
can,
that-
but oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, you know that like kind of like joke that used to be in kids shows of like they're falling. It's like,
Yeah, in Spy Kids.
we're still
You literally
falling.
Spy
Oh,
Kids,
Spy Kids.
yeah.
That's right. Thank you. It's like that though, because like they're like, oh my god, the ground and death
Yeah.
are waiting for us, but they just keep falling. It's like
And-
making them sick.
Oh my
Like they're falling
God.
for so long, and Dorothy's all she can think is that they're either going to be crushed against jagged rocks at the bottom,
Yeah.
or that the earth is going to close on them and just swallow them up, and they'll be
Oh my
smashed.
God.
So she's just like, there's these horrible grinding noises in the earth. It's like I said, it's pitch black. It's insane. It's too terrible, and Dorothy passes out. Like intermittently,
That
she's kind of
girl-
like in and out of like it's
Yeah.
very Alice like going into Wonderland, you
Okay.
know.
This girl will sleep in any situation.
Yeah, she fell asleep.
I was literally going to ask. I was like, oh, I bet because there's that scene in Spy Kids where they're like sitting with their like hand under their chin, like
my
chilling.
God.
And it literally made me think. I was like, is Dorothy about to take a nap?
Yeah, she does.
Oh
kind of on
my
accident, but she
God.
sure does. And the book says Zeb, being a boy, doesn't faint and just keeps falling,
Poorly
expecting
put, Frank.
every moment to be
Poorly
lost.
put.
What?
L. Frank.
Boys
Ball, I
don't
mean.
faint. Actually,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys knew that.
I've seen men faint.
Nah.
I don't think you
Do you
have.
want to tell us about that?
I feel like I've seen my dad pass out.
He was an ER doctor, so
An ER doctor needs to not be passing out.
I just think you'd see the blood, you know. But either way, though, that's just them. They're falling and they're expecting to die at any moment. And that is the end of chapter 1, the earthquake.
Wow,
And Blake.
cliffhanger.
Oh yeah, Cliff.
I love when they
there's
do
something there about the about it
Falling off a
being-
cliff.
Yeah, Cliff. But okay, Blake, what would you call that chapter?
Okay, so you know like the phrase kissing cousins?
Yes.
My chapter name is Missing Cousins because They didn't come home from the train station. They fell into the earth.
You explained the joke, and then you also explained what missing meant. Chapter 2. The Glass City.
So, thank God, Dorothy wakes up.
Yeah, she comes to.
She notices that the buggy's still falling. And, like, they aren't falling so fast that the G-force is still affecting them. They're actually like falling like really gently, like the top of the buggy is like parachute.
Puffed out. Yeah, so they're like, okay, like they're gonna catch air. I don't 100% buy the physics of that, but they're starting to slow just in general. But they can still, it's still completely pitch black, so like they can't see anything. The sound is just the sound of the earth crunching and creaking because it's closing up above them. So it's like the zipper's closing. They're like in a little pocket, just like going down the earth, I guess. And it's honestly just so horrifying. Oh, and the other sound is a sound of Jim, the horse, screaming like a human being.
Oh my God.
It's like, oh.
What?
It's like shrieking.
The rubble is coming down and hitting him, but the rubble's like moving at, the same speed as things that fall do. Yeah. So like when it hits him, it's not really hurting him, but it's
just
like
scaring
the shit out of him because he can't see anything.
Yeah, but the kids are fine because they have the little carriage roof. So like they're not getting like
protected,
hit by stuff. Yeah, but like he is, and so which is even scarier because they don't know why he's screaming.
Yeah.
And
Dorothy.
Ew, and why is he screaming like a man?
I know.
Dorothy has no idea how long they've been falling. After a while, she's able to see like Jim and Zeb's silhouettes. So like more light is happening.
Yeah, and like it's not like her eyes are just adjusted to a pitch black room, which they couldn't. It's like she's actually like, okay, you know what? Like it's starting to get a little brighter.
Yeah, and
then that happens for a long time.
Oh, Dorothy starts to realize that death isn't in store. It's just another adventure. I'll sleep in hell.
She literally, she literally, it says
like,
that
bring
she
it on.
Took a deep breath and she's like, oh, we're not dying. This is just another fucking round, man. And so she's like, okay. And then at this point, she's feeling a little better. She leans her head over the side of the cart to like see if she can see what's below them because there's something that's giving the light off, And what she sees.
Well, she sees 6 glowing orbs that are floating below them, and these are the source of light.
They're huge.
The orb in the center is the biggest one, and it reminds Dorothy of the sun. And then the others are arranged around it like the 5 points of a star, and they're in the colors rose, violet, yellow, blue, and orange. Is the one in the center just white?
The one in the center is just a big white one. Okay. So yeah, I imagine them looking like sea glass, kind of, just like kind of like a little swirly, but they're just bright orbs. It's kind of crazy fantasy sci-fi description from what we've read from him so far.
It's pretty wild.
It's a little like it's pretty. It sounds
all
pretty.
Of the orbs are like launching their specific color, like every which way.
Yeah.
So like everywhere you look is just like the Pink Floyd like fractal thing.
Yeah. Well, like at one point, like Jim has a pink ear, a violet ear, his tail is yellow, and he's blue and orange striped, and then Zeb's face is blue and his hair is pink.
Oh,
and
shit.
Dorothy's
that's a horse of a different color.
It is. It is. But Dorothy like laughs, and then Zeb gets freaked out because at that moment, like Dorothy has a big like green stripe in her face. So
he's like, "What the fuck?"
He's like, "I'm not actually sure what the fuck is so funny about this situation." Actually. And can you imagine Dorothy just like
because she gets it. She's a citizen of Oz.
Yeah.
Zeb is confused.
Yeah, but at this point though, like they notice that like they're actually falling really slow, like almost like they're floating. It's not like they're not falling anymore.
It gets
they
to
feel
the
pretty
point
safe
where they're doing like a full 360 turn on their side, and the horse is just like kicking his legs.
He does not like it. Jim does not like that.
And like Dorothy and Zeb like stay perfectly in their seat when they're upside down, and then they like come back to center. Like it's
weird. But at that point, they're all right side up again, and Jim says, "Well, that's better."
To which Dorothy and Zeb are like, WTF?
Yeah.
Wait, Jim said that?
Yeah, Jim said that.
Okay,
And
I knew. I just
you
felt it
did.
in my bones
You
that he
called
was
it.
going to talk. You introduce an animal to me, I'm like, they're about to have
Yeah.
a personality.
Any animal other than Toto in the first book, I mean.
yeah,
Like,
what
you
except
the
know.
for
fuck?
Toto.
I
would have loved to see his personality.
I know. Maybe in the future.
he chose not to talk.
Or maybe he's mute.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
Oh, that would suck only because it's like, oh my God,
You have your
should
chance.
be able to talk now.
You have
Yeah.
your chance, but
Oh.
unfortunately, you're not able to.
Poor Toto. But Jim speaks. But Dorothy's like, oh, Zeb, can your horse talk? And Zeb's like, no, he did not know how to talk.
Jim's like, that's the first thing I've ever said. And
I don't know
honestly,
what's happening.
I don't know. I'm just as confused as you are. I don't care. You guys got me into quite the scrape.
Yeah. And yeah, Dorothy's like, hey, like, we're all in a scrape right now, but something's gonna happen. She's been on this road before.
Yeah,
She knows the
gets
old
it.
routine.
Zeb, the boy, is not doing well. He's shivering. He's terrified. He's having a hard time adjusting to what's going on.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah, and they're like, they pass the big orbs. They, like, as they go by, like, they have to shield their eyes because like they'll be blinded. Like, it's so bright when they get close.
they literally can't keep their eyes open.
Yeah.
They're like, ooh.
But then they pass, and Jim says, "Hey, we're coming up to something." So they all look down, and what it looks like is the surface of the earth. There's rolling plains, there's mountains, lakes, rivers, and the whole land is covered by the colored light. You know,
Yeah.
and there are houses below, and they're all made of glass, and they're sparkling with light.
Yeah, and they're dropping so slowly that like they know they're not going to be hurt when they land. And Dorothy's like, well, this place looks nice, so maybe the people will be nice too. And Zeb's like, okay, yeah, but like I want to go home. And
Yeah.
Dorothy's like, I'm Dorothy fucking Gale. I
I-
always go. What I do is go home.
Literally,
I go
Yeah.
home.
I have graduated on going home.
I have a doctorate in
Yeah.
going.
I actually don't know why I'm here again.
But I
already
will be
went
home by the end of this book.
Yeah, I'm actually going home. But that actually is what she says. Basically, she's like, "Hey, like, what's like nothing's in our control right now. Let's just focus on what's ahead and let's see what happens."
Yeah, let's
'Cause-
see
Yeah.
what we
yeah,
can
right
do.
now
Hell
it's
yeah.
done.
So as they're dropping, they notice these like domed buildings with like really long, sharp spear-like spires, and they're kind of like freaking out on the way down because they're like, "Oh no, we're gonna like get impaled on one."
Jim's gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. And they couldn't stop it. If they
Yeah.
had to watch him like land
And
on it,
slowly.
on his
Oh
stomach,
my
yeah, they're going
God.
slow, and they'd start to fall below him, and they just pull him down more.
Do you guys know the movie Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
but not
one
well.
scene
He's,
where
like,
that kid,
running.
like slowly impales himself with like because he's just running, but he doesn't see that there's this giant
Yeah.
wooden thing
I can imagine.
directly in front of him.
Yeah.
God,
That's what it's giving.
it's giving that.
But honestly, don't worry because nothing happens. They're fine.
Yeah.
That's literally like a sentence.
Yep. My note for that is they eventually float down through a city with tall buildings that are spired. They're worried they'll get speared, but they land on a flat roof.
Yeah, they land on a perfectly flat
Yeah,
roof.
it's a perfect.
They want to scare us for literally a millisecond.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, it's too scary now.
Reel it back in.
yeah, this is for kids.
They've been dropping for so long that like when Jim lands on his feet, he can hardly stand. Like his legs are wobbling. Like he
Yeah.
can't.
Oh, that's
And
weird. Yeah.
Zeb is kind of disoriented too.
Yeah, but they jump out of the buggy and they're like, okay, well we're here, and the birdcage tumbles out, and the bottom pops off, and the kitten Eureka sits there yawning.
She yawns and she blinks up at them, and she's pink. And Dorothy says, "Oh, there's Eureka," because apparently she hasn't thought about her cat this entire
Yeah.
time.
That is a little crazy.
It is crazy. And Eureka, and then Zeb is like, "Why the fuck is that cat pink?"
And yeah, I was okay.
But
that was what I was about
Eureka
to ask.
is white, but the pink light from one of the orbs is on her right now, so she's
Oh
appearing
my.
pink.
Why even say anything?
Yeah, I know. Well, it'll yeah.
Eureka just looks up at Dorothy and she's like, "Where's my milk? I'm starving, Mummy dear."
Yeah. And then for
She says that with her words.
Not exactly, but yes.
Okay.
for some
But she
reason,
speaks.
yes,
Okay,
and
okay.
for some reason, Dorothy is surprised that she can talk. Like,
But you're not surprised about Jim talking?
yeah,
know.
I mean,
When
it's like,
Jim
come
talks, she's like,
on. Yeah, she's laughing. But the kitten is also surprised. Zeb is not liking any of this.
it's her own animal.
That's
It's
true.
true.
She
She
only knows
met
a
Beli-
non-talking.
You know,
Yeah.
that's
She doesn't
true.
have a relationship with the horse.
Yeah, because when she met Belina was already talking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
but
And she didn't know Belina.
Yeah.
Eureka's like, "Oh, I'm talking? That's weird. I didn't even notice. Isn't that funny?" And Zeb's like, "Talking animals ain't right, by God."
Yeah. Not his words.
That's demon work.
But that is his energy. He is not liking any of it. He hates it all.
Oh,
And he says it's wrong.
He's not going to fit in Oz.
No.
He's not going to have a good time, is he?
So they look around though at this point. They're like, okay, we're on the roof. And there's all these buildings, huge buildings, like skyscraper style, like all made of this clear glass. You can like see through them. The light is passing through them really pretty. It sounds beautiful. And Dorothy can see that like it looks like there's like resting chambers, and she can see what looks like people or like figures kind of like huddled in the corners. So she's like, well, that's interesting. What do we do now?
Yeah. A lot of these glass buildings are like chipped, cracked, broken. Like the one that's literally right next door to them has a huge hole in the side of it. And they're like, "Oh, like maybe this is a ghost town. Like we haven't heard or seen anyone, even though we're on a roof. And all of these buildings are fucked up. Like maybe no one lives here."
Yeah, because they also haven't heard anything other than their own voices since they've arrived. So they're like, okay, like it's abandoned. But then
Hold that thought, because suddenly a guy comes out.
yeah, a man arrives. He comes out of a hole on the roof next to them. Actually, he like comes up. And he steps out, and he's beautiful. He has a very like tranquil face, like no distinct expression on his face. Okay. And then he's
he
dressed in a
kinda-
green outfit.
He looks like he's like from a portrait, basically. Like his face is just like gorgeous, but one note.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's surprised or happy or sad or interested or even paying attention. It's just like it's like if you had a robot face and then you turn the robot off and it was just
He's
like
AI.
dead. He is, yeah.
But he like
and he's wearing a little green outfit.
oh yes. And he looks up and he sees them, and like they can tell by like the way he's like walking the other way and like staring at the horse and stuff. Like they can tell he's uncomfortable, but you wouldn't see it on his face. Like he's just like
He
face.
he kept his eyes on Jim and just backed away. But his face didn't change, but he was clearly looking at Jim,
super
like walking
creepy.
away.
Super creepy.
And then he's walking, and Dorothy's like, "Oh shit, hey, you're gonna fall off the roof. Like we're on a completely flat roof. You're
Hey,
just
guy,
walking backwards
stop."
away from us." And he ignores her and not looking.
Sorry, yeah, he steps right off the edge of the roof, and Dorothy's like, and like runs to the ledge and looks over, and she just sees him walking through the air down to the ground.
It's like a cartoon.
He's a magic man.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but it is like that though, because he just
Sorry, her face was so focused. So he's a magic man.
like that's something we all know. But he is, and so he's walking down just through the air as if he's stepping on stairs that are invisible. And it's and his face doesn't change at all, and they just watch and they're like, what the fuck is happening?
He lands on the ground and just goes into one of the buildings across the street, and Dorothy's like, how strange.
And Eureka's like, it's strange but fun. And Dorothy looks over, and Eureka's just doing a little tap dance in the air off the side of the building.
Dorothy's just running around. Eureka's running around in midair off the building.
And Dorothy's like, get the fuck back over here, you'll be killed.
Yeah, Eureka's like, I have 9 lives, but I could literally not lose one by falling here. Look at me. Look
like
at
I'm
me.
straight up chilling.
And so then they have a conversation. Eureka's just showing off her little walking around ability, and Dorothy's like, okay, like we could just walk on the air down to the street. And Zeb is like, no.
He's not coming.
He doesn't like it.
He doesn't like anything.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to try it.
No, yeah.
I would be a little scared.
Jim
How
said no,
high are
too.
the roofs?
Well, they're high up enough that they're stuck
You'd
there
be
if they don't
nervous,
try.
yeah.
I imagine it's at least like 5
Couple
stories.
feet.
So then they all don't want to fucking walk down through the air. But also, they don't really know what else to do. And then there's this like interchange of how Eureka's small and Jim is too big. So if Jim tried to walk, he would fall. But then he's also skinny, but he's also fat. And we just get a little flavor for who Jim is.
It's like who wants to jump down or who doesn't.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
question.
exactly.
Doesn't matter
Like,
what
Jim's
size.
sassy. Zeb and Jim are sassing each other as if they've always spoken to each other.
They are doing that.
But then Dorothy kind of starts like body shaming Jim because she's like, Jim, actually, you're saying you're really heavy, but you're very, very skinny. Like, you don't look okay.
Whoa.
He's like, look, bitch, I'm old. I used to pull a taxi cab in Chicago. I
Yeah.
can be as skinny as
Isn't
I
that crazy?
fucking want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a girl boss, whatever.
Hell yeah.
But after all of this, Eureka is just like, just walk down.
Yeah.
And then Zeb doesn't want to be a coward, so he and Dorothy join hands and they try it. And it works. And they joined hands, though. Isn't that crazy? I'd be like, okay, one of us should go first. If it doesn't work, like,
Yeah, why would you take 2 people down?
yeah.
How old is them?
Zeb's the same age as Dorothy.
Same age as Dorothy, but still we don't know, like, how old they are.
They're cousins.
Oh.
That is true.
I totally forgot about that.
That is true, but they've never met, and they are, like, not even remotely, like, not even that they're not blood related. I'm just saying. Just saying.
They're cousins.
I'm just saying.
If they met in their 30s and never grew up with each other, their kids would be fine.
So anyway, they're walking down hand in hand. Eureka is following, and Zeb's like, "All right, Jim, like it's totally safe. Come down." And Jim does. He's like, "All right, if they can do it, I can do it." And he's heavier than them, so he touches the ground before they do, but it's totally gentle.
He just falls straight down. He doesn't have to walk. He steps off and then starts like slowly falling. It's like he's taking an elevator basically instead of walking down the stairs. And then he does. And
What's
then
with the
they're just
gravity
on-
here?
Once they touch down, well, we're in the center of the earth, you know. And once they, so that's obviously a gravity thing. But once they touch down, all the people start coming out of the glass houses, and this like big crowd starts to form around them.
Only adults, no children.
Yeah.
And they're all beautiful, but completely expressionless. So same thing.
Dorothy's like, they're like living dolls.
Yeah, like they don't look fearful or friendly or curious. They just have full, and so now they're surrounded by these people with blank faces, and Dorothy doesn't like it.
No, I
That's
wouldn't
scary.
like that either.
No, I wouldn't like that.
Ew.
These people, they've never seen a cat before. They've never seen a horse before. So they're really looking at Jim and Eureka and not as much at Zeb and Dorothy because Dorothy and Zeb just look like
They look
them.
like small versions of them. But yeah, it's strange. But then not finally, but after a little bit, a man comes out of a building and he has a glistening star in his hair on his forehead. And he addresses Zeb because Zeb is taller. And he says, "Oh, like, tell me, intruder, was it you who caused the rain of stones?"
Yeah. Zeb's like, no, we didn't do anything. It was an earthquake. And the guy with the star in his hair, he like stands there quietly for a minute. And then he's like, what is an earthquake?
And Zeb is like, he's gone through a lot. He's in a bad way right now. And he's just like, I can't explain
like,
to you
I
what an
don't know.
earthquake is. And so Dorothy explains it. And the man's like, okay, well, you're going to have to prove to us that you're innocent. Otherwise, we're going to hold you responsible for all the damages.
Yeah, Dorothy's like, how the fuck are we supposed to explain we're innocent for falling into an earthquake?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was the earth.
insane.
this guy, he's like, not my problem. Don't care. it's time for you to go to the house of the sorcerer, and
They're
he'll
being
discover
sent
the
to
truth.
court.
Yeah, they're gonna be sorcered
Dorothy
over.
goes to court.
But yeah, so they're like, okay, fine. They get in the buggy, and Jim just follows this guy who showed up, who they assume is like the sheriff. You know, they're like, okay, he has a star on his forehead, like he's talking, no one else is. So they follow him just like down the road, and eventually, like the citizens also, all of them are following them, like in a crowd. So it's like a whole parade.
But with like their blank faces.
Yeah,
And do you think they're like talking as they follow? Or
I
do you think
imagine it
they're
being
just like
completely silent, as silent as it was before. Well, before they continued talking, and then one other person
someone
talked.
just like has a bell. Like,
Oh my god!
I
No.
hate this city.
Yeah, it's
it's
strange.
fucking creepy.
But
I don't want to fall into the face of the earth. I'll tell you that.
They
Yeah.
finally get to a big glass palace. There's a big, large dome, 4 tall spires, and it's beautiful. And everybody's there. It's at the center of the city, and that's the end of chapter 2, the Glass City. And Blake, what would you call that?
I would call that chapter "Walking on Air."
Okay. Chapter 3, the arrival of the wizard.
So the doorway into this palace, it's big enough for the whole horse and buggy to fit into. So they just like ride into
It's like they
this
set it up.
center of the there's like right into the center of the room. Yeah, that is funny because these people have never even seen a horse before. Why are their doorways so big?
It's God, don't get
How
me
big are
wrong.
the people?
They're like Dorothy's size.
Yeah, they're a little
basically.
bigger than her, but like not that much bigger.
Okay.
Like they could tell that there were no children, basically, but
So
they're
they-
small.
They ride into the center of the palace, and all these like blank faced people, they like line the walls of the palace, and they just like make a circle around them and like stare.
And the guy with the star comes out, and he's like, "Come to us, oh Gwig."
A cloud of smoke rolls into the center of the room.
No.
And right in front of like Jim, like right in front of the buggy, a throne appears.
Yeah, like the smoke starts to rise, and then behind it, and like inside of it, there's a throne, and there's a man sitting on it.
He's the sorcerer called Gwig.
Yes, this is Gwig.
Okay. Hi, Gwig.
He looks like the townspeople, but he's dressing yellow clothes, where I think everyone else is wearing green. But at least the first guy was
That
wearing
one
green.
guy who's in green. Yeah, I don't know.
But he's dressing yellow, and his head is bald. And also his head, face, and the back of his hands are covered in thorns, like on a rose bush.
Like really long thorns, though.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, and there's a thorn on the tip of his nose, like a rhino, and it looks a little funny. And Dorothy laughs at that.
Dorothy laughs.
She's
Disrespectful.
insane.
I will never understand.
Disrespect.
Yeah. This man just appeared to
You
you
just
out of
don't
smoke,
do that.
and she laughed in his face.
When I picture Dorothy laughing in someone's face, which she does so often, like I don't just picture her being like, "Oh, ha ha ha!" I couldn't help but laugh. Like I picture her being like, "Ah ha ha!" Ooh.
Yeah, she does.
She's pointing,
She
laughing.
makes a scene.
Yeah, she's doing the berries and cream boy. But
He doesn't like it.
no, he scowls at her, and she kind of shuts the fuck up. And he's like, "How dare you enter the land of the guest trivia?"
Bum, bum, bum.
Hannah, this is, I guess, less trivia and more prediction. So, what do you think that this is? This multiple choice. What do you think that this is the land of? The land of Id, the land of Diggy-Doos, the land of Mangaboos, or the land of the Gabazoos?
Oh my god. I know that one of them is true, but the fact that all of them sound so insane, like you guys came up with those like on your own.
Actually, I noticed that Wyatt changed one of them.
Like you switching, you're like, this is gonna be trickier. Okay, you're really gonna have to say that again. Sorry.
So that is the land of Id, the land of Dibby-Doos, the land of Mangaboos, or the land of Gabazoos.
Since the last three sound so similar to each other, I'm going to pick one of those three. Just because I feel like you probably went off those and then you threw it in there as like this is gonna throw her off maybe. I'm going to say, so it's technically B, C, or D. I'm going to say C.
Mangaboos?
Yeah. Then this is just out of I don't fucking know. I'm just picking one because it's just random. It's random.
You're correct. It is the land of the Mangaboos.
To what?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This is how I should approach every single trivia question from here on out.
No, you did great. You're like really on a roll today. The last time on was killer.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
And this
Thank
is
you.
arguably one of the hardest trivias because there's nothing to go off.
There
of.
was nothing
It's
to
just
go
a bunch of
on. I
similar
literally
words.
picked a random letter.
There was that one time when I asked her what the Putina tree does, but then none of the answers that I created were actually right, and I fucked that whole thing
You
up.
did. You took advantage of me in that moment.
But yeah, the sorcerer, he did not like Dorothy laughing at him, and he demands to know why they've entered the land of the Mangaboos. And Dorothy's like, we couldn't help it.
Yeah, she's like, we didn't mean to. We fell in. Like,
Yeah.
you guys brought us here.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you
I
want?
should be yelling at you guys.
Yeah, well, and he's like, well, you wickedly, or no, he asks, why did you wickedly cause a rain of stones? And she's like, we didn't cause a rain of stones. And he's like, well, prove it. And she's
Yeah,
like,
the second time they've been told to
oh my
prove
God.
it.
Yeah, prove yourself. I mean,
It's like, you
Sorry
you
that you
prove I
live-
did it.
I'm sorry you live in the center of the earth.
and
That
you've-
has nothing to do with me.
yeah.
The fact that you haven't experienced this before makes no sense to me.
Yes.
To be fair, what are we gonna do when they start crawling up out of the earth?
That's true. They're
We're
gonna be like,
nope, absolutely
yeah.
not.
And they're going to be like, oh, what, you never heard of us before?
Actually,
She's like, okay, I guess we live
actually,
up
you guys
here.
are great. We love you. Don't hurt us. Take advantage of everyone else. Leave us alone. Odds
Yeah.
Hour, you've heard of us.
Yeah, y'all are the Mangaboos, right?
I've heard of you.
But basically, Dorothy's like, we ain't got to prove shit, bitch. It was an earthquake.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was like,
So-
obviously it's an earthquake.
The sorcerer tells them that yesterday there was a rain of stones, and that today there was an even worse rain of stones, and then all of a sudden, Dorothy and her friends just happened to appear right after it. Very suspicious.
And I kind of get it. Like, I mean, I wouldn't tell them they had to prove it, but I'd be like, you're gonna have to give me a little more than telling me it's an earthquake. Where did you come from? Like, oh my God, there's a whole other world up there. And that makes sense because you just fell from the sky. Like, great, give him a little something.
So, in the past 2 days, however long that is down here,
Yeah.
there have been 2 rains of stone. And the man with the star in his hair is like, hey, sorcerer, actually, speaking of, like, you said there wasn't going to be a second rain. After the first one, we came to you, and you said there wasn't going to be a second one.
and this one was worse.
Yeah, this one was worse.
Yeah, he's like, so why should we even keep you around if your magic isn't good?
You're not right.
Yeah. The sorcerer's like, I said there would be 1 rain of stones, and there was. The second rain was people and horse and buggy and stones.
Yeah.
So therefore, it wasn't a rain of stones.
He specifies that it was the rain
Sound
of the
familiar.
horse, buggy, and people, but then he's like, and also, like, the stones just came with them. Like, so he even discounts that part. It's insane.
Yeah. So the man with the star, he's like, are there going to be any more rains?
No, he
The
says no.
sorcerer says, no, my prince.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. He's not the sheriff. He's the
Yeah,
prince.
the guy with the star on his forehead is the prince.
I thought he was a cop this
Wherever
whole time.
they were.
Yeah, what's the star? I mean,
It's like on his hair.
It's just like in there.
It's like he has a
just-
hair clip on his forehead.
okay, so it's just for decoration.
Yeah, he's adorned.
apparently. Maybe
He's
it's part
adorned.
of his skin. I don't know, actually.
But he's like, no, my prince. So immediately after saying there won't be any more rains, a man runs in and tells the prince, more wonders in the air, my lord.
yeah.
Like, just stop saying that. Stop saying that
He's
it's
trying to
not
keep
gonna
his
happen.
job.
The promise.
Dude,
You know,
it's just
he could
if
just-
you're honest, or not even honest, if you just say, yeah, there might be more,
Yeah, that's always true.
that's fine.
When you're a sorcerer, you
At
have
least they can
to
prepare.
know. I'll tell you what, though. This sorcerer, he is on a performance improvement plan. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, he just got.
So everyone runs outside. Even Dorothy and Zeb like get out of the buggy and go look. The animals stay inside. But and the sorcerer stays in his throne.
Yeah, the sorcerer stays inside. He's pretty much, I think, just grumpy because he like just promised like 3 times there wouldn't be stone or rains of anything, and then it's another rain.
Also, more things are falling from the sky, everybody. Remember how our buildings got destroyed yesterday
yeah.
and today?
Yeah.
Let's all go outside and look.
Seriously,
Which
yeah.
lie?
Well, I mean, so would you?
Make a fucking
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what they need to do.
I'm
That's
always
the
saying
thing.
that.
That's what we've been saying.
So they look up into the sky and they see what looks like
A balloon.
dubious. No,
The only reason that I do guess is just because in the title of this fucking book is the wizard.
Yeah.
could it be?
How long has he been traveling in that balloon for?
Okay, actually, we might get to that. We might get to something.
Okay. Because right now I'm like, oh, this guy left Oz T minus a year ago, maybe. If we're
Yeah.
depending
That
on
sounds about
Dorothy's
right, yeah.
age, T minus a year or 2 ago.
Yep.
So, and he's just
Here's the thing.
He's just traveling in that balloon. He could go
Here's the
anywhere.
thing. We're not even there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're not even there.
I'm
He's
jumping.
because-
I'm
It's way
jumping
up in the
ahead.
sky.
The balloon, like, it's lower than the multicolored suns, but it's still really, really high up. And we
It's-
know how slowly things fall.
Yeah.
All the people are just quietly waiting, expressionless, completely silent. And Dorothy's like, this is fucking weird, but I hope that balloon's from the outside world because, like, we could use some fucking help, man.
Yeah.
Like, they're about to be put on trial, you know?
Yeah.
The balloon drops 1 hour, they can see a basket. Another hour, they can, like, tell someone's
They
in
can
it.
see a silhouette in it.
Like, another hour, it's finally... it takes
finally
3
lands.
hours for
And
this
they all
thing
just
to land.
stood
They're all
there,
do you think they're just-
quietly.
Do you think they're just watching? Do you think they're talking? Do you think they
No.
sat in the grass and played dominoes?
They
Well,
just watched
these
quietly.
people are giving like big AI
They're
like
Yeah.
type of
weird.
thing. So I literally
They're
feel
weird.
like, yeah, they're probably just fucking sitting there like, huh?
Everything stopped. And then, you know what? I wonder if once the balloon landed, they were like, yesterday the balloon began falling, and today the balloon landed. Like, how does time work for these people?
Yeah. Yeah, because their
Yes.
suns are always up there.
Yeah.
But it finally lands. And then, like, a little man jumps out of the basket. He bows his little head. And Dorothy exclaims, "Why, it's Oz!"
It's us!
Of course it is.
The wizard looks at
what
Dorothy.
does the balloon say?
So it doesn't say
it
that it
doesn't
says
mention
anything on it, but it probably says Omaha,
Omaha State
Circus
Fair
or
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
something.
what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, actually, it would probably say Barnum and Bailey, but we'll
Oh
get
yeah,
there.
it's not Barnum and Bailey. It's like a play.
We'll get there.
Yeah. But the wizard looks at Dorothy. He's just as surprised to see her. He's like, "Well, little Dorothy Gale, I remember you." It's like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
better
you
remember
fucking
me.
abandoned me in
I
Oz.
hope you remember me.
So-
for all he knows, she's still trying.
I
to
have
get
a lot
home.
to say.
Yeah. Oh my God, honestly, yeah. For
Yeah,
all he
if
knows.
anything-
Oh my God.
God.
So Zeb is like, "Wait, who did you say that was?" And Dorothy's like, "The wonderful wizard of Oz."
You haven't heard of him?
Bitch, he ain't a wizard. We all learned
I
that when we
know.
were here last time.
And
He's
also,
not a
why on
wizard.
earth does Dorothy think Zeb would have any idea about that?
Yeah, seriously.
I actually think that this is like an inside joke about the popularity of the first book because when she's like, "You're not familiar with the Wonderful Wizard of Oz,"
Oh, it's
which
like
is
the
the
title
title of the
of the
first book.
book.
Yeah, so I think it's like a play on that. But it is an insane
okay,
thing.
that's L. Frank Baum being a little
that is.
cocky.
I think he was being cheeky there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is also right after the wizard is like, "Yes, I'm Oz the Great and Terrible." So
He's like, yeah, I sold all these books.
yeah, he's like, 4 of them. This is 4, and he did say that.
So the prince goes up to the wizard and he's like, "What are you doing in the land of the Mangaboos?" And the wizard's like, "Dude, I was in my hot air balloon. I was trying to landed in a crack in the earth, wouldn't you know?"
Yeah,
Here I
he was like, "I put too much gas out of it. I just fell down." Oops.
All right, in the crack of the earth.
And so very similar though to Dorothy and Zeb and Jim and Eureka, I guess. it closed above him. So he was like, well, I'm not getting out of here.
Yeah.
So he must have come down like right above them. Like he must have seen them like
For
fall.
a while.
That's actually
Yeah.
so true.
Because he's
Because
floating
seen them
down
fall.
They've
slowly.
only been there for like 45 minutes.
And it's
Yeah.
taken him hours to get down to the floor as
Yeah,
well.
and that's just from the globes. Yeah, so like, but the balloon must have some gas in it. I don't know, but the timing of it's interesting because he obviously entered the same place they did and then just came on down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he wasn't in Omaha.
Well, he was working the circus, but where is beyond me.
That's true.
But he's like, look, I'm from the surface. Like, it's actually much better up there, and I'd like to go back. If you would show me how to get out, I will get out of your hair.
But the prince is like, well, wait, so you're like a wizard? And he's like, is that anything like a sorcerer? And the wizard's like, yeah, but it's like way better.
Yeah, like one wizard is as good as 3 sorcerers.
And I'm like, why would he say that? This man is a compulsive liar.
He can't help
Can't
himself.
trust him.
He
Yeah.
cannot help himself. The wizard is like, yeah, wizards are way cooler than sorcerers, dude. And the prince is like, okay, you'll have to prove that. Like,
Yeah.
everyone wants something proven today. Like, I don't get it.
Well, because the
We need
prince
evidence.
also, well, people are making
We've never seen this in a fairy country before.
people are making claims like never before.
They are.
Because the prince is like, well, we have one of the best sorcerers around, but like, what he says is we have one of the best sorcerers that has ever been picked from a bush, but he sometimes makes mistakes. Do you? And Oz is like, no, never.
Never make mistakes.
And Dorothy is like, you made a lot of mistakes when
yeah.
you were in the land of
Thank
Oz.
you.
the
Thank
wizard
you, Dorothy.
basically goes,
Yeah. Yeah, he's like nonsense.
Dorothy, speak up.
Yeah, seriously, Dorothy
but
needs to have her
also,
voice heard.
this might be your ride out of here. So, Dorothy, shut up.
Yeah.
Oh God, a man is always in power, aren't they?
But the prince is like, sir, you're going to want to come with me and meet the sorcerer.
Yeah. He's like,
we're
I'm gonna
gonna
choose
have
one
a
of you.
Battle off. So the wizard follows the prince in.
And they all follow.
Everyone files in. And the wizard looks at the sorcerer and immediately starts to laugh, to which I say bold.
Yeah, it's insane. And the prince is like, yeah, he looks strange, but he's a great sorcerer, and his only fault is that he is often wrong. And I'm like, it's a huge fault.
Yeah, it's like,
He
okay,
was just wrong 3
if
times.
he's always
in a
wrong,
row.
what makes him such a great
You're like, I've been here
sorcerer?
for like an hour, and I've already seen him be wrong 3 times.
But the sorcerer's like, nuh-uh, I'm never wrong.
Yeah.
And the prince is like, okay, what do you call this? You said there'd be no more rain of stone or people. Here's a person.
But, and this is technically true in the way that some other things that L. Frank Baum has written about have been technically true, but he said no more people would rain from the sky, and only one person rained from the sky, and that's true because you would never say people when it was one person.
He's like, see, this is just
So-
a person. I wasn't wrong.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to, then just don't say it. Like, just say maybe. If you
Right.
know that could happen, but not, it's just insane. And
The wizard is very happy to meet a fellow humbug. He's like, that was some
Yeah.
good shit
he's
right
like,
there.
very clever, boy. Were you? Sorry,
Please. Were you ever with a circus, brother?
Yeah. And this is where we get like a little joke of the wizard being like, well, I was with the Balaam and Barney's circus, which is an obvious play on Barnum and Bailey.
Okay, I'm just like wondering, with the movie at least, I know we won't get too much into it, but it's just like Professor Marvel being the wizard and him being part of the circus. I just like all the connections. I'm seeing it now.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
It's
Oh my
interesting.
God.
And, you know,
I can see these
bum.
things.
everyone who made the movie would have had access to every single book that was written.
Everyone who made the movie
yeah.
they would
better
have been able to do
It seems like they read at least the first
everything.
At least a couple of the
there's some
series.
references.
But yeah.
But so yeah, he went up to advertise the circus, And then when he came back down, he did it wrong, and then he fell down to the land, and that's just
he's
his
like,
little
and
thing.
that's how I ended up in the land of the Gabazoos.
Gabazoos, yeah.
And the sorcerer is like, we're called Mangaboos.
How dare you?
A good wizard should really be able to get the names right. And the wizard's like, oh, I'm a good wizard, just as good as you are a sorcerer.
He's like, I'm actually better than you. And I'm like, why are you lying? Why are you lying? And the prince tells him that he's gonna have to prove that.
And Dorothy's there, like
Yeah.
someone who have already seen that you're not actually a wizard.
The ultimate lie was told to Dorothy.
Yeah. And then, so he's like, okay, prove it. If you're a better wizard, then you'll become the chief wizard of this domain of the land of the Mangaboos. Otherwise, he will stop him from living, and he will forbid him from being planted.
Murder
And no burial.
And no burial. Yeah, you will be forbade from being planted.
Yeah.
And the wizard's like, ooh, go.
He does not like that.
Yikes.
He doesn't like that
Guess
at all.
I better win. So Gwig, the sorcerer,
Gwig.
he waves his hands, and tinkling music begins. No one's impressed. This is Gwig's, like, every time someone asks Gwig to prove he's a good sorcerer, this is what he does.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, why is Gwig asking to prove he's a good... Why is he being asked to prove he's such a good sorcerer all the time? I think he is on a performance improvement.
I mean, but then
Yeah.
again, he has proven it every time, though. Like, no matter if he's
by playing Tinkle Song.
but if he's had to do this to prove himself, he's always won. So he's always been better.
True.
But it's pretty cool, though. Dorothy's like, whoa, but everyone else has seen it before, so no one's super impressed. And it's really cool magic, but it doesn't matter because the wizard's like, all right, watch this. Someone give me a hat.
Nobody has a hat.
No one has a hat. No one has a hat. He's like,
Not
all
helpful
right,
at all.
give me a handkerchief.
Nobody has that.
No one has a handkerchief.
What?
And he's like, okay, I'll use my own hat. Okay, fine. And he does the whole like nothing up his sleeves, like nothing on my person. And like and there's nothing in my hat. And then Gwig is like, give me that. And he inspects it.
Yeah, Gwig checks it out, makes sure there's nothing in the hat, gives the hat back to the wizard. The Wizard of Oz says, well, I guess he's not the Wizard of Oz anymore, but the wizard says, now I will create something out of nothing.
He passes his hand over it.
He sets the hat down on the floor.
Oh, yeah, it's on the floor. It's on the ground. The glass ground. Glass, quote, pavement, according to the book. He passes his hand over the hat, and then when he lifts it up, there's a tiny white piglet the size of a mouse that begins prancing about and grunting its little snorts.
It's like, wee, wee.
Yeah, and it's having a
What?
good old time.
So the Mangaboos, they've never seen Jim and Eureka before. They've never seen a piglet the size of a mouse before. They don't have animals. So they're like, whoa.
They're
what
already
the
impressed.
fuck? So
One
then
pig, and they're impressed.
the wizard picks up this little mouse-sized piglet, grabs it between his thumb and forefinger by the head, grabs it between his thumb and forefinger by the tail,
Pinching it on both ends.
starts
Starts pulling it apart.
It breaks into two
No.
and becomes two new
Two
squealing
whole
piglets.
piglets.
What?
It's like he pulled the piece of silly putty in half, and now he has two identical ones. Yeah, but they're both
sets-
identical.
Yeah, he sets one down, lets it run around his feet. Wee, 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 wee.
Ew.
Bloop. Does it
Again.
again. Bloop. Does it again. He does it. How many times?
8 times.
What?
9 piglets.
Yeah, there
running
are
around
9
his feet.
piglets at the end. And they're all just running and playing and just chilling out. And then he says, all right, having created something from nothing, I will send it back to nothingness. And he picks 2 piglets up and he squishes them back together in his hands.
Until they become
And they
one.
become one.
He does
And then he
the
picks
entire
another
thing
one up.
backward.
Yeah. And then he puts the last one on the ground, puts his hat back over it, and then picks it up and there's no piglet.
What kind of demon shit is that? That's some Prince
It's
of Egypt
insane.
snake battle shit.
And the crowd is completely silent.
Yeah.
No
Until-
one has said anything.
Yeah.
Until the prince is finally like, yeah, you win.
Yeah. He's
That
literally
was
like,
pretty cool.
You're a great wizard. You're the new supreme wizard or whatever. But then
No.
Gwig is like,
Quig.
well, he won't be the great wizard for very long because I can tell that you have a very strange body. You need to breathe, and I'm going to use my powers to prevent you from breathing.
Okay.
And then you won't be alive anymore.
And you won't be alive anymore. So he can realize, looking at the wizard, that he needs to breathe. Meaning the mangaboos do not need to breathe.
Yeah.
Meaning, what the fuck are all the humans and animals breathing right now?
That's true. Sulfur, I
Sulfur.
guess.
But the wizard's like, oh, how long will it take you to stop my breath? And Gwig is like,
5 minutes.
I'm too
Oh my
stupid.
God, he's losing
I'm
his breath.
I've just lost my breath. But Gwig is like, 5 minutes. I'm starting now. Watch me closely.
He starts chanting, moving his hands, and okay, what I am about to say is completely insane. The wizard, hearing that he has 5 minutes,
Okay.
he takes out a leather pouch,
Okay.
and it has a bunch of knives in it. He begins to put them together until he's made a complete sword, and he puts a little hilt on it. So it's like a katana in his hand.
An entire sword out of like
Entire sword.
8 or 9 knives. By the time he's putting the handle on, he's like, oh, I am having a hard time breathing. Gwig's magic is working.
He's actually starting to not be able to breathe. So
Yeah.
he's like, oh, fuck. And he has a whole sword. So he just raises it above his head, swings it around a few times like he's swinging a lasso, and he slices down, cutting Gwig exactly in half from head to toe.
Down the middle.
And
Oh my God.
Dorothy screams
Yeah, of course she would.
as bitter organs roll out of the dead sorcerer. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
That line is what I wrote in my notes because that's what you'd expect.
God.
No, actually, the two
She expected a
halves-
horrible sight.
The two halves of Gwig actually just
Turn
drop.
into two different people?
No, they drop to the ground,
But there's no blood.
and inside of him, it looks like the inside of a turnip or a potato.
It looks like, yeah, it's just
Like a root
homogenous.
vegetable?
Oh my
spongy.
God.
The
Yeah.
wizard is like, he's vegetable.
Yeah, that's what he says. And also, in this moment, it's like the wizard thought he was about to cut a man in half.
Yeah.
Like he thought he
You're-
was going to use that sword to cut someone in
You
half.
should have seen some fucked up shit.
Yeah,
the
but
wizard
no.
actually
Basically.
thought that sword was just gonna stop in a skull.
Yeah,
Like,
he
just
thought
gonna-
he was going to kill a different way.
Yeah.
But then the prince is like, yeah, he's vegetable. We're all vegetable. Aren't you a vegetable? And the wizard's like,
this is big. This is huge.
oh, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The wizard says, no. Everyone on the Earth's crust is made of
meat. Oh, I know meat. I know a meat
Yes.
body when you show me one.
You show me a meat body, I know a meat body.
And they are.
The wizard is like looking down at Gwig's body and he's like, will the sorcerer die? And the prince is like, oh, no, yeah,
He's
killed
already
him.
dead.
You killed him.
Yeah. He's like, he's gonna wither away, and actually, he's like, and actually, like, we need to plant him so that other sorcerers will be grown from his bush. And the wizard is like, what do you mean by that? that's his quote.
And the prince is like, well, come to the public gardens. I'll be able to show you better than I can tell you.
Yeah, he'll be better able to explain the mysteries of the vegetable kingdom. And that is the end of chapter 3,
Damn.
The Arrival of the Wizard. And Blake, what would you call that?
Okay.
This better be good.
This was really hard. Okay? Because I wanted, I'm going to explain it.
Yeah.
I wanted to do turnip. I wanted to do a pun with turnip.
Okay.
So I was thinking like, oh, the wizard turns it. But I was like, it doesn't work if it's turns. And
Yeah.
I couldn't make turnip work.
Turn
so
up?
I said, well, that was the idea was that.
I mean,
like,
the wizard turns up.
Right.
Okay, I see.
But I wanted it to sound like turnip, so you got the joke. The chapter name now is The Unbeatable Oz. Because
Can I tell you, without the explanation, it would have been way better.
Oh, can we go back?
Let's cut that.
Thank you for listening to Oz Hour. Please join us next time when we continue with Chapter 4, The Vegetable Kingdom. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcast for the latest on everything Oz. Oz Hour, created and hosted by Blake Stone and Wyatt Swingham. Co-hosted by Hannah Aguirre. Audio production by Charlie Johnson. Theme music written and performed by Rudy Klobus. Cover art by Valentin Lucas.
Last time on Oz Hour.
Okay, we start off crashing waves in the middle of the ocean on a boat. Dorothy is like, oh my god, I have to go up to deck for some reason because she's stupid, and flungs out of the fucking ship and is in a coop thingy that is in the ocean now floating, and they're going to some island, then realizes that this fucking chicken, little Belina, is with her, and they become friends immediately because they have to figure shit out and get food and survive, and they find a key, and then they are doing other things. They find this weird tree that has like lunch pails and shit on it, a big sign that says beware the wheelers, and then they find the door thing with the key, I think, and open it, and there's the TikTok man, and he's like, ha ha ha, I'm right here. And actually those wheeler things, oh yeah, because they attacked her because they took the lunchbox things. That happened before. But anyway, then the TikTok guy was like, they're not that scary, so you don't have to be up here. We're just gonna go attack them. So he went fucking crazy on these crazy ass wheelers and started smacking them with things. I can't remember what it was, but he was smacking them. And then they end up going on their journey, all three of them together, to go to the castle that is there of Ev, and they run into Languidir and her little people and all her little heads, and I think they're messing with 27. I think that's what I remember is number 27. She's not a good head, and she decides, oh, I want Dorothy as one of my heads, and so then they get into this huge fight, and Dorothy's like, nah, you're not taking my head, and then she gets thrown into a dungeon. TikTok freezes. Belina gets sent to some chicken coop where she's going to be made into an omelet, and everyone's like, what the fuck? And then Dorothy's in the dungeon, and she's just like, oh, woe is me. This is great. I think I'm going to take a nap or something. And then she sees in the distance, in her little window in the dungeon, that across the desert there's a carpet with Ozma, and oh my god, the Ozma, I'm so far behind. But basically Ozma and all them, the tiger and stuff, they all save her, and then they go onto the journey where they have to save the castle's king and queen, and not the king, the queen and all her kids and stuff. And so they go there, they run into a hammering man that almost kills the fucking seesaw horse. And what do they do after that? Oh yeah, they meet the Gnome King, and they get this whole deal where it's like, oh, you have to go into my little lair and touch all these things, and if you touch them correctly, then you get all the people back, and if you don't, then we lose you forever. And so then everyone went in, got lost, turned into a little fucking ornament thing, and then they left, and then they left because of the belt, and then Belina saves the day, and then they leave with the belt, and then they find the Tin Woodman, and then then everyone's happy, and Ozma and Dorothy are best friends. I don't even think I brought up Ozma once in this entire thing, but she is there, and they're best friends, and yeah, and then Dorothy goes back home with her totally fine uncle. That's it.